This is a story of a young man who supplemented his income with profits from stolen bicycles until he changed his ways when a stolen bike supplemented his luck with a demon or an alien that does not hesitate to shed blood. So stay tuned for this gruesome affair, the night I quit stealing bicycles.
Finding yourself in the talons of an owl and the shadows of the forest moonlight, it's a gruesome affair.
Here's a little confession I will never tell you in person. Anonymously and online, I'll tell you anything. So for today, I confess, I am a bicycle thief. I'm a bit shaken now as I saw a little too much this past weekend. Now I've evolved my moral compass and quit being a thief. Well, quit being a bicycle thief, at least. People don't talk about certain things because they know you'll just think they're crazy. Some don't even believe what they're seeing with their own eyes. My life is pretty normal for a business student in Copenhagen, except how I get my pocket money. That's the bike thief part. While I study economics, asset management, and business management at university, I'm also on the prowl daily, scoping out the town for bikes I can easily snag and sell online. I only sell cash and keep the prices normal market. This means I can pull a pretty 5,000 to 10,000 crowns in a week. That's about $1,000 or 900 euros just clipping 1 or 2 locks on my way back from class. The ultimate income statement is the one with only positives and no negatives, like mine. I try to keep these stolen bikes for only a few days. I move my product quickly. It never occurred to me to think of my side hustle as dangerous, but I have learned and almost lost my life to a bike that was a murdering monster. I don't know why it let me live, but I know in my bones now that not everything is what it seems. Now, before I continue, I want to tell you that my moral base is evolving. Having now quit the bike thieving game, and I will fully retire from thievery when the time is right. You see, my moral base has a naive palate, but it's maturing. Second, I witnessed this bike I stole devour 4 people in less than an hour, and it had plenty of time to devour me, but it didn't. Here's how the night went down. It was last Saturday night in Copenhagen, and if you've ever been to this capital city town in Northern Europe, let me just say that the Danes like to party. Copenhagen is booming on the weekend nights. The bars and streets are packed, and there's plenty of puke on the sidewalk to show you that heavy drinkers also like pizza or whatever. When I go out, my poison of choice is vodka. Vodka is clean, and I started drinking it after spending a week down in Kiev, where I discovered that what espresso is to the coffee world, vodka is to the world of drinking. We'd been drinking beers at Temple Bar in Nobel earlier. They had matchbooks with real matches and the Temple Bar logo for free at the bar. I had taken 3 or 4 of them. I always take free shit when I can. So as the night moved on with a pocket full of Temple Bar matches, I bid farewell to my gang. Feeling pretty buzzed, I headed out and bought a pocket bottle of vodka for the trip home. I had about a 10-minute walk to get home, but thought that stealing a bike would be the best option. Transportation is always free when you're a bike thief. I like to bike. I needed the air. And I could hawk the bike later on the internet to keep my easy cash conveyor belt rolling. So instead of walking home, I walked to the aisles of Nørreport station looking for the perfect kill. I looked for bikes with a cable lock. I don't even carry a tool, but use a stick or anything I find to twist the cable until it snaps. Too many bike owners are too trusting and lock their bikes with cable locks. This is to my professional advantage. After some searching, I found a very unique and cool bike. It was an all-black, non-branded bike with a single freewheel gear and solid red, airless tires. It was slick and efficient, and to my pleasant surprise, it was unlocked. The evening reveler who parked it must have forgotten to lock it. So this bike sat there in one of the aisles looking stylish and efficient and ready to roll for the first taker. The first taker was I. Off I went north towards my borough of town on my new bike. It rode smooth. It responded to pedaling sharply, and I could see that this bike would be one good aluminum horse to jet around town on. It dawned on me that I might want to keep this bike for personal use, and in an instant, I ate a huge concrete biscuit. The front tire locked, and I found myself flying over the handlebars, and a wall of asphalt, which was the street's pavement, was coming fast at me. I impacted and shirleyed my face with my right arm, with my legs partly entangled in the bike. The frame of the bike came down over my back, and when the crashing part was done, for a split second, I thought that I must have broken at least one bone, maybe my right leg. I stood up. I shook it off, and everything to my bewildered surprise seemed fine. A random passerby from the sidewalk came up asking, "Are you okay?" I replied with a question. "Am I bleeding or bruised on my face?" "No, does it hurt?" he replied. "No, it doesn't actually," I answered. Holy cannoli, I flipped over the handlebars of my stolen bike, ate a wall of asphalt, and came out unscathed. But I knew now that this bike is evil. I walked it home and left it unlocked between two large windows on the ground floor of my apartment building. I figured the first person who takes it can have it, but they'll probably eat some concrete soon thereafter. They'll think they found something real nice, but they'll be cursed in an evil way, as I am. As I left the bike, 3 drunks, probably students, were walking by, and one of them screamed out, "Hey buddy, you're leaving your cool fixie unlocked." First, it's not a fixie, which has no gear and the pedal moves exactly with the rear tire. It's a single gear freewheel. Second, I called back, "I don't care, I stole it anyway. You can have it if you're so worried about it." And I opened the door to my apartment building, stepped in, closed the door, and gazed out to see if the drunk would take the bait. And he did. He took it, and it would cost him dearly. You see, dear listener, up until now, I thought that bike was indeed a bicycle, but this is simply not the case. My intuition knew that there was something deeply dark and evil about that black bike with the solid red tires. The drunk walked up to the bike, putting one hand on the left handlebar and the other hand on the seat. Instantly, the seat changed its form to form a cylinder engulfing his right arm. He shrieked a hideous, deathly sound that would certainly wake the dead, in addition to the neighbors. I noticed a few lights go on and blinds open in the hotel on the opposite side of the street. The drunk was crying and trying to pull away as the bike folded around him, with the frame and tires bending around the drunk's body like a tortilla around its meat. The second of the 3 drunks ran up to try to pull his friend out, but the bicycle instantly opened up, just enough to suck drunk number 2 into its folded taco form. 2 deathly shrieks filled the street, and the look on both their faces showed that they both knew death was imminent. The third and last drunk approached and kept a safe distance away, a few feet. He was calling out to them. I noticed some silver liquid like an extending spoke writher slowly out on the sidewalk, and then in an instant, it had the third drunk tied in a wiry metal tether around his left foot. The next 30 horrible seconds was what I think of as a bicycle digesting 3 drunk men. It engulfed the first two, making a mechanical hissing noise, and then it pulled the third drunk, who shrieked a disgusting sound and resisted and almost seemed to swim on the cold and dark nighttime concrete of the city sidewalk. As he was sucked into the folded bike, and then with a final echoing shout and a hissing mechanical crack, the men were all gone, absorbed into the frame and seat of the bicycle. The street was silent again. For a moment, the bike remained folded up, and then with a popping noise, like when a basketball bounces, the bike snapped back into its original form. When it was all done, the iPhone of one of the drunks lay on the sidewalk with a greatly cracked screen. My eyes were in disbelief. 3 people could not fit in or even ride that bike, but somehow the bike had just consumed all of them, and they were now all dead and gone. I wanted that bike gone, but after seeing it eat and kill 3 humans, I was impressed in a most fearful way. I can't live with some kind of alien bicycle-shaped human flesh eater stationed in front of my apartment building. I looked at the bike and it just leaned there against the white wall like any other customized old Copenhagen city bike. That's when I heard the police sirens. One of the neighbors or guests in the hotel across the street must have called the cops. It's not going to be me explaining to them what just happened. They'd surely write me up for psychiatric counseling if I gave them a statement of what I just witnessed. The white police car pulled up. In Copenhagen, the police cars are white German Volkswagen station wagons. Officer Tomgaard exited the vehicle and was greeted by another older woman who came out of the hotel. The woman from the hotel is one of the hotel managers, and it is she who had called the authorities about a human being eating bicycle. Better her than me on that call. They were talking and the hotel manager was pointing to the black bicycle with the red tires, with an eerie cracked iPhone nearby. Officer Tomgaard approached the bike, and as she did so, the hotel manager, judging by her body language with palms up like saying, "Stop," was trying to warn Officer Tomgaard not to touch the bike. But Officer Tomgaard did touch the bike, and as she placed her hand on the bike seat, it was like something grabbed her hand and pulled her arm into the bike with quick force. She attempted to grab her gun with her other hand, but failed, as the bike wrapped around her, swallowing her whole as the gun fell to the ground and landed right next to the iPhone. The street was filled with a blisteringly loud, mechanical hissing sound as Officer Tomgaard disappeared. And then silence. The folded, bent, and contorted bicycle was silent for a second, until pop, with a bass, basketball-like sound, it snapped back into bicycle form, leaning quietly against the white wall of the apartment house. An idea hit me. I couldn't go to sleep and wake up in an empty city because the latest bike I lifted killed everyone. Also, I wanted to stay anonymous, so I walked around and left the apartment building from the door in the back and walked around. In this way, the hotel manager would not know I came from inside the apartment building. I walked around the building and came up along the white wall and stood in front of the black bike with the solid red tires. The hotel manager kept her distance but shouted, "Don't touch that bicycle. It's dangerous. It will kill you. Step away from that evil thing." I pulled the vodka bottle out of my back pocket and took a good swig. And with that, I poured the vodka on the bike seat and it seemed to be absorbed. Maybe this bike monster will get drunk and sing like a canary for us, but I'm not that kind. I pulled out a cigarette and put it in my mouth and pulled out one of those Temple Bar matchbooks. I lit my cigarette and dropped the lit match on the vodka-soaked bike seat. It immediately took fire. It was glowing like a beautiful blue fire torch. And strangely, the whole bike started to glow a beautiful blue, like the ether of its soul had caught fire. I stepped back and watched the strangeness from the middle of the street in the company of the hotel manager. We were both in a trance, watching the glowing bike twist and contort with the metal of the spokes speaking under the few urban street lamps from above. The bike compacted into an array of spokes and bike parts on the ground with a blue fire around the top of the mechanical metal parts like a burning halo. It was silent. And then with that basketball-like pop, the bike burst up into the night sky and disappeared like an Aura Look video played in fast forward. In that instant, the bike was gone. The cracked iPhone and gun sat silently on the sidewalk, and I booked it. I don't want to give a statement to anyone about my involvement. The hotel manager called out, "Wait!" as I ran down the street. I had to run around on the backside and come in the back door of the building to avoid the hotel manager and knowing where I live. Yes, that bike was there because I took it and put it there, but I would never have gone near that thing if I knew it ate people. This is the experience that's made me rethink everything and retire from the bike redistribution business. I hear there's good money in CBD, that healthy marijuana stuff. I'm kind of afraid of bikes that I'm not familiar with now. In any case, if you see a cool and working bike that is parked in the city unlocked, be careful. That bike might just eat the entirety of your flesh and body. To my forest friends, thank you for listening to another tale. I hope you enjoy these horrible stories as much as I do. If so, please rip at the like button and scratch a comment. And be sure to subscribe so we can visit here on the Smoking Owl Tales channel next time. And catch you on another night very soon.